but there are too many connectivity issues with the Red Sea Light for me to be able to recommend. Like I said, I had just purchased a brand new Red Sea Light, and now I have to send it back to see if they'll fix it, and I'm not sure where I'm gonna be able to put it once it's fixed. What's up, Reefers? For today's video, I'm gonna be giving you an update on why I've switched from Red Sea lights to Radion lights. If you're thinking about getting Red Sea lights, or you already have some Red Sea lights, maybe because they came with your Red Sea setup, you really should watch this video to the end just to make sure that you still want to purchase those lights, especially after my experience with these lights, which after kind of combing through a couple of forums out there and websites, appears to be an issue which a lot of reefists encounter. And honestly, the timing for this couldn't be worse. Before I start talking about the issues that I've had with my lights, I figured I'd give a little bit of background as far as what I was going through and the exciting things that were supposed to take place just as I was purchasing these lights. So without further ado, let's jump in. So the tank here has been going really well. The corals have been growing outstanding. A lot of splitting heads, unlike the LPS corals, and the encrusting corals were really taking off over the rocks. I haven't had a single algae issue in this tank in a long time. The fish are getting along too. So I just made an order from New York Aquatic, which is one of my favorite places to purchase fish, by the way, for this powder blue tang, as well as I did get a school full of chromis, which the chromis did mysteriously disappear. 6 of them disappeared. I bought 7 and 6 of them disappeared. This is the lone survivor here. So I put those fish in this tank and they were honestly just thriving really well. So as you can see here, the tank for the most part looks exactly the way it looked when I had my Red Sea lights, with the exception of these acros that you see up here. So recently I decided to try my hand at some of these acropora corals. So I went to the very best local store to talk to somebody, not just order some acros, but actually get some guidance and expertise. So I actually ordered some corals from Sunnyside Corals here in Draper. So Sunnyside Corals is run by Jeff out in Draper with his son Spencer, and Jeff is just an incredible dude. Not to mention, they have the very best selection of SPS corals that I've ever seen. That's here in Utah, that's anywhere else. You can go check them out on their website, sunnysidecorals.com. I got the Area 51, which you see there, which is sort of like the poor man's version of the strawberry shortcake. And then I've got this PF Rainbow here in the back, which is fallen over. And then I got a second Area 51, which I put in my tank in the living room just to see if the 2 lights that I have in there, which are the Kessel Ace 360 Max and the AI Prime, I use both of those lights over a 40 gallon. I wanted to see if that light was enough to help grow high-end SPS acropora corals within the tank. So I put these bad boys in here and I'm running my typical 3 Red Sea lights on the tank, and then within literally 2 days of putting in these corals, one of the Red Sea lights decides to give out. Which is interesting because as I was purchasing these acroporas, I was actually editing a video to talk about how great the Red Sea lights were. No joke. I was gonna put out a video out there for you guys talking about how great the Red Sea lights are, how aesthetically pleasing those lights are, and how great they grow corals. And my overall experience, which up to that point had been pretty good. Pretty good with a couple of issues, which I'm gonna go over here. So before I just jump in and kind of trash the Red Sea lights, because I don't intend to trash the Red Sea lights, I really think that they function really well as a light. The spectrum they give is incredible, but I just had terrible Wi-Fi connections. So I do need to take a step back and just say that just about everything you see here, and I've got some really great coral growth for anybody who's been following my channel in the last year. I mean, it has done all this. I've got tons of encrusting corals. The monoporas are super healthy. The torches are doing great. I have super high-end torches like the Holy Grail. I've got a cotton candy down there that's fallen recently. LPS corals that are growing. And then just really great coral line all over. So my Red Sea lights, I mean, honestly did most of this. I've only had the Radions for a week now. So realistically, we do need to take a moment to thank Red Sea for a pretty good light set. But when I purchased the lights, I had 3 Reef LED 90s. I had heard that 3 90s would probably be enough for acropora, and like I said, I had just purchased these 2 acropora frags to see if the light could actually sustain growth. for that specific type of coral. So let's talk about some of the cool things about the Reef LED light. One of the things that I like about the Reef LED lights is that if you have a Red Sea system, you can buy this really nice looking shelf as opposed to something that hangs, or I don't even really like the gooseneck look at all. So you can buy this tray, which looks outstanding, and it just spaces the light really well above your coral, so you don't have to worry too much about, okay, what intensity should I turn the light on? Is it too high? Is it too low? I really went through that with my Kessel A360 in the living room. And anybody who knows the story of my 40-gallon tank knows that it took me almost a year and a half to get to this point, because I couldn't figure out for the life of me how high to stack this A360X above the tank. And it turns out I had to stack it about 18 inches, 19 inches before I wasn't just absolutely blasting the corals with light, which is not what Kessel told me. I have several email threads going back and forth with Kessel. They were telling me different recommendations as far as what light intensity I should put, how far above the tank I should hang the light. And I was told about 9 inches is where the sweet spot was for this light. And that was just cooking these corals. And for the longest time, I had dino issues, algae issues from just blasting way too much light. And then my corals just weren't growing at all. But we seem to be past that now. You can see a lot of great growth in the zoanthid garden here. Really like the way that's coloring up. My LPSs are pretty happy for the most part. The torch coral is looking just absolutely outstanding. There's a lot of blue light in here, I realize that. And then I've got 2 healthy anemones here, which is one too many. Got that rainbow one here, and I've got this red one in the back. In fact, I'm trying to get this guy to loosen up and to let go, so I blasted the, I'm blasting him with this pump, hoping that it'll let go. I even started a little green star polyp wall in the back there, hoping that that will take over the wall, create a nice neon background. Those polyps again are a little upset because the pump's not there. But it took me the longest time to figure out the intensity, the position of these lights to ultimately make corals grow. And with the Red Sea lights, you don't have to worry about that because the tray is just positioned exactly correctly over the tank. Not to mention, Red Sea already makes the correct recommendation as far as how many lights you should have just based off of the size of your tank, which Kessel doesn't really do. So benefit number 1 was definitely that the lights come ready to go. Benefit number 2 is a very intuitive app. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the nightmare of the app as well, but as far as usability goes, the Reef Bee app is amazing. It's really easy to customize the light. There's really only 2 spectrums on a Red Sea light, which somebody like me actually appreciates. If you give me too many colors to work with, like I know on the AI Prime, even as simple a light as the AI Prime is supposed to be, it comes with so many color combinations and spectrums to work with that I honestly, at my stage, don't know what the right spectrum is for my tank and would prefer just to go with whatever the pros think are the best spectrum. Red Sea recommends 3 different spectrums, which are ready to go out of the box. But if you want to customize the look of the tank at all, you can simply by customizing the intensities of the white and the blue spectrums. And that's kind of it. Now the Red Sea lights do provide a very blue spectrum, which I like. Maybe it's because I started with the Red Sea lights with this tank, but I actually do like blue lights. My Radion lights here are actually the blue version of the lights. I feel like I'm talking about Pokemon, like blue, red. No, there's pro and blue versions of the Radion lights if you didn't already know. I picked up the blue version, which once again is the version that comes out of the box ready to go, whereas the pro version gives you the opportunity to change a lot of different spectrums and colors with the tank. So the Red Sea light will come in with a very blue light, which will make a lot of your yellows, oranges, reds just really pop throughout the tank, and that's cool. But they do offer a very blue spectrum, and it's easy to customize that spectrum with the Reef Bee app, which for the longest time was just an absolute joy using. But then, within a couple months of owning my Red Sea lights, I noticed that I was waking up every morning to a text saying that my Red Sea lights had lost connection with my Wi-Fi. And that happened every morning. And sure enough, what I found out is every morning I would come down here and see that my lights had not turned on and could not follow the sunrise schedule that was set for them on the Reef Bee app. So every morning I would actually have to unplug and plug the lights back in. So I would have to pull these plugs apart and then plug them back in every morning for at least 2 lights and sometimes all 3 lights, and that was really annoying. I also noticed that my lights started acting finicky whenever certain spectrums of light were coming up on the sunrise and the sunset portions. So if they needed to shine like at 10% intensity, my lights really struggled shining at 10% intensity. I actually had my lights on full blast most of the day and then had a really modest sunrise and sunset schedule just because I wanted to try to get my lights to make it through it, and they couldn't. And then finally it got to the point where they were saying they were losing connection, and then they actually had lost connection 100%. So I did the whole factory reset thing. I did the whole let's delete the device from the app and repair it. And then I found out, and this was the most frustrating part, that I could not even pair my lights to the Reef app. The Reef app did not recognize my lights as actual light devices. They thought that I was just trying to connect to like Wi-Fi or something. And that was scary because there was nothing I could do about that. Instead of saying RS LED 90 and then the serial number within the devices to pair, it was actually just showing the serial number. And as soon as a device starts doing that, the Reef app will not recognize it as a light. It won't pair to it, and then there's nothing you can do. So that is my number one knockoff on the Red Sea light. In order for the Red Sea lights to work, they have to be paired to the Reef app. And I don't think that that's the way any light should function. I don't think any light should be 100% dependent on an app to function. If you can't connect a light to the app, you should just be able to turn on a light manually, like you can with an AI Prime, like you can with a Kessel A360X, and like you can with the Radions. Even if you can't customize it as easily as you can once connected to the app, you should be able to turn a light on in case you can't get a light to pair. Because what I then did was I decided, you know what, 2 of my lights I can almost always get to turn on by unplugging and plugging in, jerry-rigging it. So I decided to go to my local fish store here in, my not so local fish store in Bountiful at Rusty's Reef. But I went ahead and bought a brand new Reef LED light, and I was so excited about it. I put it as the middle light of the 3 lights just so that, a new LED light could have kind of the major coverage over the tank, the major spread. But mostly I was just super excited at the prospect of never having to worry about turning a light on ever again by unplugging and plugging, or worrying that I wouldn't be able to connect to the device for the light to even function. And sure enough, I was able to get that light paired very quickly, pain-free. It connected right to the app, and for about a week, we had a great tank going again with 2 older Red Sea lights and then a brand new one. But then, out of nowhere, the brand new Red Sea light and one of the other Red Sea lights decided that they were not going to pair to the app anymore, and I could not believe it. I had just spent about $370 on this brand new light fixture, and now it's not pairing to the Reef app, just like my old Red Sea light wasn't pairing to the Reef app. And so I actually reached out to Red Sea support, expressed some frustration, and they mailed me these over here. They mailed me the top board that goes to the Red Sea light, which you can then put on your light on your own, which I do appreciate, by the way. I appreciate that they give you the opportunity to fix your own device. I think that's really cool. I was able to get to it very quickly. The top board has to do with the connection, and so they give you a new light as well as a new sticker to be able to change the serial number on your light, since the connection board will have a different serial number and you'll know which light you're pairing. So I made those changes to 2 lights, and again, once again, I was working, I was rocking for about a week, and then after a week, those lights puckered out on me too. So after that, what I decided to do was I decided to get at least 1 Radion light. So I got this Radion light over here on the left, one of the blue ones. This is a G5, not a G6. And the reason I got a G5 as opposed to a G6 is because the G5 and the G6, in my opinion, are not that different. They probably are, but realistically, for me, coming from Red Sea lights to a G5 is still a very big difference. Not to mention the G5s are about $700 and G6s are like $970, something like that. So if you go on BRS, you can actually buy the remaining G5s that they have in stock for about $700, and I'd recommend that you do that, absolutely. Because when I plugged this guy in, as soon as I plugged him in, just the most beautiful, vibrant blue lights came off of it. And the spread on this 4-foot tank was almost the entire tank, almost. I wouldn't recommend just doing one Radion for a 4-foot tank, but it was just nice to know that if I'm ever going down to one light, most of my tank will be covered. So I put the one Radion here, and then I put the 2 Red Sea lights that were functioning, semi-functioning on either side. But once again, I had to get up every morning, plug them, unplug them, plug them back in, and I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna buy 2 of these things right now so that I have the same spectrum, the same light, the same schedule across the whole tank. And so that also I can be on vacation, I can be at work, I can get up and know that the lights are gonna come on their own. Realistically, in the reefing hobby, we all know this, the more things that we can make automated, the less things that we have to do manually, the easier it becomes for us, the more consistent things become. And consistency is ultimately what leads to great coral growth. So far, these lights have absolutely been rocking it. I've only had these lights for about a week now, and I'm already noticing that a lot of these acroporas are coloring up in ways that the Red Sea lights just absolutely could not do. I'm noticing that the monoporas are growing really quickly all of a sudden. I also noticed that the torches have never been this happy. In fact, I was so impressed with this that I actually went ahead and ordered a goldenrod acro from Thirsty's Reef. That's this yellow guy that you see here. And when he was ordered, I don't know if you can see this, he came in super white, just like absolutely pale. Nothing against Thirsty's Reef. He had just mentioned that since it was a paler frag, he gave me this really big piece of golden acro, and he said if you put it under the right light, it will color up. And I had full confidence knowing that underneath a brand new Radion, he was gonna color up, and sure enough, he looks so good. Shout out to Thirsty's Reef. Also shout out to Inappropriate Reefer. Inappropriate Reefer was the one whose goldenrod acro I actually saw and thought, man, that thing is growing so well. It's nice and yellow, and those who've watched my channel know that I really like yellow corals as they're pretty rare. It's a hard color to find in our hobby, and it's done quite well. So in just a week's time, I've absolutely noticed a difference. I'm waking up and I get to enjoy my tank right away. I don't have to worry about plugging something in, unplugging it. Don't have to worry about a connection with an app. And folks, that's ultimately what I would recommend here. I think the blue lights aesthetically are super pleasing. They'll make any tank just look so good. They're also really easy to use, and I think that for a beginner, it's absolutely going to grow great corals in your tank. For the longest time, I enjoyed them, but there are too many connectivity issues with the Red Sea light for me to be able to recommend. Like I said, I had just purchased a brand new Red Sea light, and now I have to send it back to see if they'll fix it, and I'm not sure where I'm gonna be able to put it once it's fixed. But I'm here to recommend a trusted source for lighting. I know Radions are expensive, but they are super trusted. Other great light options are the Kessel A360X, which once again, you do have to figure out how high you need to hang it, what light intensities you're going for, as well as the spectrum. But once you figure all that out, it's an incredibly resilient light, which is reliable and always seems to function. And you can control it through an app if you get the little piece that allows you to connect via Wi-Fi, but you can also connect it manually just through the controller that it comes with right out of box. And then the AI Prime here is a great light. I'm not sure why people knock on it so much, but for nano tanks, this is a great light, and it absolutely helps with great coral growth and makes the tank look just really, really good, especially if you like that blue light look. So folks, there you have it. That's why I'll never buy a Red Sea light again. As good as that light might be for a lot of folks, including for me, the way it was for me for years, I really think it's just a matter of time before you will deal with connectivity issues. I can't speak on behalf of the 150s, as those are brand new as I understand it, but the 90s, man, they were such good looking lights. If only they didn't have to connect with the app to work, I would totally recommend those as far as what they'll do for your tank, but what they'll do to your heart, what they'll do to your mind, just not worth it. But these Radions, on the other hand, are absolute champions. Love what they're doing to the tank already. Love the preset template programs, which professionals have actually developed. It's done wonders for my tank already. Can't wait to showcase the results here. So if you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. Once again, I do have a giveaway going where once I reach 2,000 subscribers, I'm gonna be drawing names to give a free Grandmaster Krakatoa frag to To enter into that giveaway and make sure your name is included in the drawing, make sure you subscribe to this channel, and then make sure you comment on this video here for the crack, spelled K-R-A-K, and you'll get an entry. That's all for today, folks. Happy reefing out there.